Well, isn't that exciting? So what I'm going to do is we need to replace this filter capacitor. This actually has two capacitors in it, and that'll take care of the hum. And then we'll also check the voltages and all that. In order to do that, I'm going to have to take it out of the cabinet. So I'm going to let this kind of cool down a little bit. These tubes will get very hot, especially that one. And then I'll take this out. It's going to be 5 screws, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think there's another one. Yeah, there's one that you can't even see that's right through there. And then we'll take that out, and then we'll be able to check voltages, be able to replace that capacitor. I guess I'll go ahead and change those. I know I'm going to need to eventually, but just in case they're leaking. And then that couplet that's in there, I don't know. I'm going to have to test the voltage going into the audio output tube and see if it's 0 volts. And if not, then I may need to reconstruct that sort of thing in there. So we'll just see when we get to it. So anyway, let me get all the rest of the stuff out of the deck here, and then I can make room for getting the chassis out of here. So hang on. Okay, let's get this thing taken apart. So this is pretty tight. That means that I bring this out, it's going to need to go this way. The speaker may not be that easy to get out of there. This is one of those plastic cases, and it's got little grips on there that hold it. I'm going to see if I can do it without removing the speaker just yet. I'm going to probably want to remove the speaker just to check it out. And also I'm going to get the crap out of the inside of this, all the dust. Anyway, let me go ahead and get this out of here. I'm going to start here. Okay, so according to the manual that I found online for this, what I need to do it says to grasp this structure right here, which is the frame for the tuning condenser, and hold the knob on the front. Well, first of all, you got to pull the volume control off. Come on. Is there a set screw on it? I don't see a set screw. Let's just try to be patient and pull this off. I sure hope somebody didn't glue this on. That would ruin my whole day. I think somebody glued this on, guys. Come on. You've got to be kidding me. That has to come off. No, there's no set screw. It just has to be pulled off. Alright, what are the options? The option is we don't pull it off, we don't fix the radio. So I don't think anybody's interested in this being a shelf queen, so let's just pull on it till it comes out. What else can you do? If it breaks, I'll have to find something else to do. Come on. I don't think it was glued on, it might have been, but it didn't shatter into a million pieces, so that's a win. Okay, so that's off. Now what we can do is we pull on this while resisting with this, apparently. I got everything loose here. Make sure I got all the screws loose. That's out. That's out. They're all out now. All right. Sorry. Okay, this came right off the front. Doesn't look broken. And then this is ready to come out. And then I'm going to just take it and turn it like this. Okay, inside we had this, which I believe was supposed to hold onto this inside of there. And it just came loose is all. I don't think it hurt anything. Okay, good. So there's the arrow that points to the station you're tuned to. And then on the other side, you see where it says CD for civil defense. And those would point on the dial face to these points down here. And those would be your civil defense channels. Now that we got that off, we can clean this up maybe. If the thing is worthy. Okay, so now let's look at this. Well, it looks like somebody was in here and they wrote their name on this. 5-4. What do you think that says? $79.59. I think I see a 5 there, right in front of the 9. Let's see here. I think I imagine there's a 5 there that looks a bit like that 5, right in front of the 9. 5-4-59. And then B. I don't know. It's somebody's signature. Somebody's name. B or P. It's probably a B. Anyway, somebody was in here and they signed it. It's not unusual to see. Okay, cool. I was wondering if this thing had been opened since it had been new. And didn't look like it. So that's there to provide shielding for the back side of this tube right here. And that's the 12 AU, 12 AU6. 12 AU6. Is that the one we just put in? No. The one we just put in is up here at the top. That's this one. 12 BA6. And 12 BA6 is the IF amplifier. Okay, so it's got some extra shielding on the bottom. Alright, so what do we say we needed to do? Well, we needed to clean this volume pot. Okay, we can clean that with some contact cleaner. We'll just spray it in there and clean it. Here is the Sprague bull plate or couplet or whatever you want to call it. This, I hope, is good, because otherwise I'd have to remake that entire network that's inside of that, which is shown in this dotted line box right here. And I'd rather not do that if I can avoid it. But like I say, I need to check to see if the voltage at pin 2 or 5 on this tube is 0 volts when it's hooked up and running. We'll be checking that soon. See, that corresponds to pin 7 out of this, so I guess that's that last tube right there. That's one connection there. Comes over to here. Yeah. Okay. So this is my first time to get it out. Make sure I can see any signs of any other kind of like burning or deterioration or anything. I think this volume control has been changed. That's some pretty rotten looking solder jobs in there. This cap will come out. I may just go ahead and change these caps. That's our tuning condenser. And yeah, that's some really nasty looking solder job here. I'm not sure if I think the board has been damaged here. Let me get you in there where you can see that. Okay, so where I'm looking is right in here. See that? It looks like part of the board is missing right here. And it looks like they have put a jumper in here to replace a broken trace. I could be wrong, but it sure looks like that board has been damaged here. I think this has been changed. Okay. What else do we see? Output transformer looks okay. This will be bad. This is the oscillator coil right there. Let's see here. That's one of the access points for one of the IF transformers, and here's the other one. And then they have the access points on top as well, right there. How do you adjust the tuning condenser? Ah, here we go. So these are little adjustable trim caps on this. One of these is for tuning the antenna, and the other one is for tuning the oscillator. I don't think the oscillator coil itself has a slug in it that can be tuned, so we won't be able to adjust that part. Yeah, it's just a little radio, a little All-American 5 radio. Okay, so what am I going to do next? I guess we could go ahead and change this, but let me see what kind of voltage we're going to get on that. I'll show you. So once again, I want to see what kind of voltage I'm getting right there. Okay, it says 0 volts. It's coming out of pin 7 of the couplet. It's going into either pin 2 or pin 5 of the output tube. It needs to read 0 or thereabouts. Okay, if this has got a high DC on it, like it's being driven by this 50 volts that's here, then that cap's bad, and it's going to end up messing this up and messing this up. So I have to do something. That'll let me know how much trouble I'm in for. So I'm going to do that now, is get that set up. Maybe what I'll do is spray the volume pot for grins, and then we'll measure this. So let me do that real fast. Okay, so since this is a control that's got some need to turn and have lubricity, I'm going to use this contact cleaner here, which has a little bit of a lubricant in it, I believe. And so we can find a good point into this. Now this top part here is the on-off switch, and that's of course not a problem. It was turning on just fine. So the point is, how do I get inside? Looks like I can get in, you can see, I can get into there, and I can also try to get into back in here, if you can see that right in there. So let's get at it, and then we got to exercise it back and forth a bunch of times. So I'm going to do this for a bit, and then hopefully that'll clean that noise of that volume pot up a little bit. So let me do this for a while and then I'll bring you back after I'm done. Okay, so I cleaned this, sprayed it a few more times, worked the heck out of it. It could probably still continue to improve over time. As I've been pulling on this wire here broke off of the speaker. You know, I probably ought to just disconnect it anyway. But what I'm going to do is just strip it back and I'll just hook it up with a jumper lead for right now. Okay, from there and onto here. Alright, to reattach that later. Okay, so am I ready to reconnect the power here? So one of the things you got in this situation is that now I've got to put my hands on things. This is the advantage of the isolation transformer, is that if I'm only touching it with one hand, put one hand in my pocket, right? As long as I don't come across two things at once, I can't get shocked, or at least there's greatly reduced chance. That's the idea. But still, this is a kind of a dangerous thing to do. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to turn this on, and I'd like to check the voltage. Alright, so what do I need to do? I need to check to make sure I have the voltage right there. So let me get this other voltmeter hooked up. And what I'm going to need to do is check the voltage between ground and that pin right there. That's pin 7 on the couplet. Okay, so pin 7 on the couplet right here, and I've checked it goes right into pin 2 on this audio output tube. Alright, so I want to check that voltage here to ground. I need to find a good ground somewhere, and then let me get that set up and then I'll turn the camera back on. I found a ground here that I'm going to use. That ground is located, I'll show you in the schematic here in a second, right here by the coming off the cathode of the output tube, and so there's a 180 resistor there. I'm clipped to the other side of the 180 that's hooked up to pin 1, so that was easy to find. Okay, so let's get this should be turned off, which would be like that. Alright, power on. Turn it down a little bit. Okay. Turn it on. I'm not getting anything, and I know why. Alright, well, let's hook up the power lines to here. I was just testing you, right? Okay, one power line hooked up there. I'll hook up this one here so they don't touch each other. Alright, so now that's hooked up. Alright, let's go for the power again. Power on. And already turned that on. Okay. Warming up. Alright, so volume control is not nearly as noisy, so we want to check the DC voltage at the input to the audio output tube, which is right here. Look at that, 0. Let's see if I can get a real reading on something else to verify. So let's see, pin 7, there's pin 7. This should be the plate voltage, and I've only got 62 volts. It should be 120. Alright, so we're definitely not getting the voltages we wanted to get. But that's at 0 volt again, there. Turn the volume up. Alright, so we're not getting enough voltage here on the output tube either. Alright, so we've got a voltage problem. I'm going to say it's going to be this capacitor is pulling down a lot. So I'm going to change that capacitor now, and then we'll revisit the... I'm going to change this capacitor out. We will revisit the voltages, and then we'll see what we get. We'll remeasure them then. But it's starting to wake up. So I think in order to make this a little bit easier, since I've had to hook up a jumper for this speaker here, I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut the other speaker loose so I can get these things separated and make it a little easier to work on this. So I'll just reach in there and cut that off, and then we'll re-terminate those lines later. And we get this out of the way, and that'll make things a little easier to work on. And I'll see if I can get that speaker out a little bit later. Should be able to. Okay, so voltage is off. These are disconnected. Okay, so what we want to do is get this capacitor out of here. So it's held on with a big glob of solder here, a big glob of solder here. Is it here, I guess? I think I better notice which one's which. This one says C, so that's the common, and I have to pay attention which one is which for the two capacitances that are here. Okay, so you can see by looking at this, this is the common, right? And that one says B. And there's an A down there, I can barely see behind this wire. Okay, so looking at this, can't quite see it, but so this is the B. And that's the common. And the other is the A. Okay. Now this ferrite antenna, I'm going to need to move it out of the way because it's going to get in the way. Don't want to break it. It's fragile. So you can just kind of lean down out of the way. All right. Okay, there's one way to get that out of there. And there's the telling me what's what. Oh, so A is common, B is 50, and C is 30. Okay. Okay, so I stopped, go get some, to go eat dinner with my wife, and as is I normally do, is I don't ever want to run out of room in my memory card, so I took the memory card in and took it in there and uploaded it on the computer while we're eating. And then what I do is I check to make sure the files, weren't corrupted and they got transferred over to the computer okay, so then I can delete them off my card and put it back in the camera. And so I was watching the video to see if everything was there, and I made an amazing mistake. And yeah, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave it in here. When I went and got the new tube and I put it in, or actually when I took the IF tube and I put it back in, I put it back in the wrong place. And then I ended up putting the AU6 in the wrong spot. And then when I came back and put the new one in, I replaced the BA6, which was in the wrong spot, with an AU6. And in the video, I could see I took it out and I looked at it, and it didn't look right, but no, that's what it is. And I just put it down. And then later, I was messing around with stuff, and I looked at this tube here, and I said, oh, that's a 12AU6. No, wait a minute. No, that's not 12AU6. That's a 12AU6. Well, no, that is a 12AU6. I put it in the wrong place. And I almost spotted it then, and so I missed it twice. And here's the kicker. This thing started working without having the IF tube in the IF spot, and with a converter tube that had a short in it in the IF transformer tube spot. So now it's definitely distorted. All right, so this happens. You just got to be careful of these kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing the replacement of this filter capacitor and go ahead and put that in there. And then maybe what I'll do is see how that sounds, and then I'll put the correct plug tube in there, and then see what difference that makes. It'd be interesting to see, you know, in hindsight, what difference it makes to have the filters changed, and then also what happens if you would have the tubes in the wrong spot. So anyway, unfiltered, here you go. So anyway, the filters are here, as I mentioned. This was marked C, this was marked B, and A was back here, and we now know that's the common. So what I'm going to do is verify that's common with continuity with this. So what I'm going to do is go to that spot I had found, which was over here. That should be ground. And then I'm going to verify continuity to that spot to make sure that there's not any confusion there. So it should go like this. Look this up. Alright, so okay, so that spot, which was marked A, was here. Alright, so that is the common, is where A was. Okay, so let's get these new filters in. So I've got a couple of filter capacitors. These aren't Nichicons or Chemicons or anything, but these are good high temperature ones. They'll be fine. They're just filters. So this is one of them was supposed to be a 50. I got a 47. So they're supposed to be 50 at 150. So this is a 47 at 160. And the other one's supposed to be a 30, and this one's a 33 at 160. So both of them should be fine. All right, so I'm going to get these put in place and solder them in, and I'm not going to make you watch that. I'll bring you back after I get those in. Okay, so I've got the capacitors replaced. Got them both right here, sitting where that can used to be. Both plugged into the common at that point, and then here. So basically, kept the leads that would have the noise on it short as possible. Okay, so let's get this thing on and see how that works with having replaced the filter capacitors. I've got it hooked back up to the speaker, trimmed the other line, so I've got that hooked up, it's ready to go. And so let's see what we get. Tell me your battery's getting low. Okay, power on. This switch is on. No, it's not. Now it is. Alright, we're pulling 21 watts. It's a little bit more than before. .23 watts. Okay. So the hum is gone. So that's good news. The hum is gone. All I'm going to do is now put the right tube in. We'll see how we do then. Kill the power. Okay. Let's try doing this right. Okay, this is the old 12AU6. That was in the IF position. This is 12 BA6. It's hard to see. That's what made it hard for me to notice this the first time. 12 BA6. Okay, that goes into this spot here. We did get rid of the hum. Okay, so those guys are in. They're in the right spot. Okay, so give it another whirl. Let's turn the voltage down a little bit. Turn power. Okay, let's turn it on. All right. .23 watts. That's closer to what we're supposed to be consuming. Still a little bit of hum there.
So convinced that they can help you to get the best results. Relief Factor needs to be taken regularly. Our plan makes that simple. So get started and get your 1995 3-week 8434. ReliefFactor.com 800. This is by Amazon. Helps members save time and money and stay entertained in the new year. Prime members get exclusive savings and deals, plus fast, free delivery on millions of everyday items. Not to mention free 2-hour grocery delivery. market area. And one of Prime's newest benefits gives members savings on prescriptions at more than 60,000 local pharmacies nationwide, plus Amazon Pharmacy, where Prime members get free 2-day shipping. Prime is bringing the fun here with access to movies, shows, music, and more on Prime Video and Amazon Music, all included with Prime membership. To learn more or sign up for a 30-day free trial, visit amazon.com/prime.
You are not invisible. This is emotional management. I'm Dr. Christian Conti. Whether you want to realize this or not, you are always emitting energy. You can be in a room sitting off to yourself, yet you are still giving off energy. If you are in a group, you can just sit there quietly and not say anything, but there is still an energy to your presence. Facial expressions you make to your body posture. You are constantly emitting energy. You have to ask yourself at some point is this: what energy are you giving off to the world? What energy are you?
Easy, and your vehicle is free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785.
So let's talk about where we are here. So first of all, the volume control is no longer noisy. So the other thing is that the hum is gone, the 60 hertz hum.
That's wooded and somewhat secluded. So Jill, if there's ever a problem,
So that's been
just walk
cleaned,
out on
these
the
were
balcony or
replaced,
walk out
and that took care
there,
of
put that
those two
double-barrel
issues.
shotgun and fire 2 blasts
We replaced
outside the house.
the
I promise you, who's ever coming in
converter
you
tube,
don't need
which had a short in it.
15.
Unfortunately, then we stuck it in the wrong spot, but then I put in the right tube now. And now we're kind of getting performance that kind of comes and goes.
Some of his two-way stuff coming up. Joe Biden during the campaign days, I think maybe before he had his rumored stroke, who knows. First, I mean, I love what he's saying, just to go off and shoot a shotgun off.
That's all right. That's all right. You know, everybody else has to go to work for a living. So, as many of you know, listening to the show yesterday, I probably sound a little different. It was bothering me, but not bothering me enough to take off. There's a lot going on. I feel like it was important to get in here. So I found...
Okay, so I'm not picking up a lot of stations, just a couple of strong ones nearby. The hum from the filter capacitor is gone. It's very sensitive to the orientation of this, so it doesn't null out on which way the radio is turned. But that's to be expected with these kinds of antennas. The volume kind of comes and goes, all right? And sometimes when it gets really low, sometimes that crashing starts, all right? It's not doing it right now.
So chatted with my doc and got myself on some ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and fenofibrate. And sure enough, woke up this morning. And
So the sensitivity still isn't great. That still could be the IF transformers need to be tuned in or at least improved.
yesterday after the show. So Paula's like, you had enough. That's it. You've worked 4 days.
And then sometimes I'll lose it. And then the crashing starts. So one of the things I'm wondering about with the way the volume is coming and going is maybe there's something with the automatic volume control. Okay, so what I would do then is check this. Okay, so this resistor here, see, it ties in, see, yeah, it comes from here, goes to the 2.2, goes into this transformer, but then it also comes in and feeds the antenna line, and then here's the capacitor. So between this resistor and this capacitor forms an RC circuit. It's kind of like a time delay, and I'm wondering if either that resistor is flaky. You know this has got to be getting flaky. So I'm wondering if one of these is going bad. So maybe what I'm going to do is change that cap. That's the paper and wax dipped capacitor on the end. I'll put a 047 in there, and we'll see if that works. The other thing I'm thinking about is this other one where the bumblebee is. Okay, this one here. This is to, basically get noise off the line that's coming in. I think what I'm going to do is just remove it. I'm just going to cut it. All right. I may risk having some noise here, but we'll just see what comes in. If I need to put something there, I'll put a capacitor across that just to make it up, and then we'll see if that does anything. But I think first what I'm going to do is do this and see what difference that makes. I'm trying to do everything I can before I say, well, I got to get into these. Okay, so we'll just see how we do. I don't know if this could be part of it, but we'll just have to see. Let me make this change out, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so I've got this capacitor here changed. That's part of the AVC circuit, and there it is there. This is what it replaced. I've got that in there. I haven't trimmed it up yet, but got that laid in there like that. Now the resistor that's part of that circuit is a 2.2 meg. So that should be a red, green resistor. There's a red, green right there. Red, green. So that should be a 2.2 meg. Okay, so I got the 2.2 put in right there, and let's just see what we get. This was on the theory that there was something wrong with the AVC circuit. So power on, turn this on, pulling 21 watts.
Go to mypillow.com now or call 800-837-0459.
Dan Bongino.
Yeah, I think this knob had been glued on. It's all stripped out.
So I got one of the top.
Our veterans risked it all to protect Their family, hospital volunteers, or no contact with them. Being alone can be terrifying, but we all can help. Help heal veterans with the support of citizens like manufactures and distributes therapeutic art and craft projects for our veterans and military at no charge to them.
All right, I'm going to check a voltage. Let's see. Let's check pin 7 of the output tube. Should be right here. $119 volts. Should be 120. Now we're talking, huh? Now we're talking. So let's try pin 6. Should be 95. 87, that's okay. Let's try over on the converter tube. Let's see. Pin 1 should be, that's resistance. Negative 1.8 on pin 1. See if I can't. Maybe I can't reach it. Let's see. Reading 0. Should be negative 1.8. Okay, I'm reading negative 2 instead of negative 1.8. That's good. Okay. 0 on pin 7. Okay. Pin 5 should be 95. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 85, not 95, maybe a little low. Pin 6 should be 95, it's 90. Okay. Let's try on this tube. I can't get to that tube. Try the rectifier. The rectifier is over here. Alright. Pin 7 is the plate. Where's pin 7? Can't tell. It's not pin 7, is it? Yeah, that's pin 7, 125 for the plate of the output tube. Let's see, wait a minute, I want the rectifier. That's the output tube, right? Okay, it's 120, 125. Yep, right, 125. That's perfect. Okay, so that looks good. Converter tube looked good. Do I have any other voltages I can check? If I could get into pin 7 of the detector. Okay, that's the detector right there. Pin 7 is... I can't tell where the index is. Pin 7 there. 50 volts. Yeah, it's pin 7, 50 volts. And pin 1. So that plate is good on the detector. Pin 5. So let's see if that's 7. Is it 5? That should be negative 0.6. I'm getting negative 0.9. That might be a little too negative. Pin 5 of the IF amp. Pin 5 of the IF amp. I don't think I can find it. It's underneath this shield. Well, the voltages look a lot better.
Kind of the system that's in place where, you know, our African Americans and minorities.
Well, I'm going to give it some thought, but I'm afraid it might be the IF transformers. because sometimes they let it through, sometimes it doesn't, and then once the static and crashing starts, you can't hear anything. So these type are susceptible to silver mica disease. That might be what this is. So I'm going to give it some thought. I'm probably just going to go ahead and call it a night, but maybe I can check some things with a signal tracer. But I think basically we pretty much outlined that's what the problem is. Okay guys, let's get back into this late 50s GE 875. So here's to you if you're still with me on this one. So we went through and we have done a number of things on here. You can check the list of where we are and things that we've addressed. And as you heard last time, I mean, there's just this tremendous amount of static crashing in here, and I know that is very likely to be silver mica disease. I've just been trying to address other issues to see if maybe it would eliminate a noisy component, other issues that I know probably had a problem, so I tried working on those, but I just went through, checked voltages. It's just delaying action now. So I thought we would start looking a little bit more at that the IF cans.